Namaste my dear friends. Now referring to you customs valuation for imported goods. By inviting the attention on the part of customs valuation, determination of value of imported goods rules 2007, wherein my dear friends we have almost all the 13 rules we have, but identifying the important rules, rule number 3 to rule number 9. Of course, we have to invite the rule number 10, which is very important to add the value of imported goods based on the cost of services. First and foremost, I am inviting the attention on rule number 3, which is transaction value basis. If it is not applicable, then we have to refer the identical goods. Then if it is also not applicable, we have to refer the similar value, similar goods valuation. If that is also not applicable, refer the rule number 7, namely deductive value. If that deductive value is not applicable, then we have to go to the compute value. If the compute value also not applicable, then we have no other option to refer the residual value. Residual method is a final one to arrive the value. But in all these cases, rule number 10 is a commonly applicable for us, which is cost of services, very important. I will refer to you my dear friends. While arriving the value of imported goods, first I am taking transaction value basis. How to arrive the value of imported goods based on the transaction value? First and foremost, transaction value, if applicable, you have to satisfy the following conditions being an importer. What are the conditions? The exporter and the importer should not be related parties. The exporter should not share the sale proceeds after importing by the importer and selling in India. That sale proceeds should not be shared with the exporter by the importer, and the price must be a sole consideration for such import. That means the following conditions are essential to follow. Then only the transaction value is applicable. What are those conditions? 1. The exporter importer should not be related parties. Condition number 2. The price must be a sole consideration. Condition number 3. The importer should not be share the sale proceeds after importing the goods with the exporter. If all these conditions are satisfied, transaction value is applicable. If the transaction value is applicable for import of goods, in that case my dear friends, you have to invite rule number 10, cost of services, to arrive the value of imported goods. What are the element of expenditure we are going to add in the value of imported goods? Means all expenditure which is incurred up to the point of importation should be included in the value of imported goods. After the point of importation, after the import is completed, any expenditure should not be added. In simple terminology to say that, all pre-shipment expenditure, all expenditure belongs to pre-shipment nature, should add in the value of imported goods. All expenditure which is post-shipment should not be added in the value of imported goods unless the post-shipment expenditure is a precondition for import. Now, how to understand this? Very simple my dear sir. When you look into this, pre-shipment expenditure means the expenditure incurred up to the point of landing the goods on the landmass of India. Up to that point, expenditure incurred is called as pre-shipment expenditure. What are those expenditures? As per rule number 10, we are referring the expenditure incurred by the exporter. FOB value of exporter. FOB value of export is all pre-shipment nature my dear friends. Cost of raw material, cost of the loading, unloading, freight, insurance which is incurred by the exporter in the exporter country port or airport up to that point. Who incurred the expenditure? Exporter. Therefore is a pre-shipment expenditure. Thereafter, apart from that, commission, selling commission, commission paid in Indian rupees, paid in the foreign currency should be pre-shipment expenditure, except buying commission, which is a discount nature, should not be considered. Further my dear friends, the packing charges should be added unless it is a durable returnable packing. Further, the expenditure relating to design and development incurred outside India before importation, that should be added in the value of imported goods. Further, the handling charges as exporter country port should be added to the value of FOB value of exporter. Then we will get FOB value of customs. To the FOB value of customs, following expenditure we have to add. What are they? The following are as follows. 1. the insurance. If it is given, well and good. If not given, at the rate of 1.125% on the value of imported goods, you have to add. What is the value of that imported goods? FOB value of customs, on which 1.125% towards insurance you have to add if the insurance not given. If the freight is considered, freight not known, 20% of the FOB value of customs should be considered for value of imported goods to arrive the CIF value, because which is our assessable value. If there is air freight is given, in that case air freight should not exceed 20% of the FOB value of the customs. If it is exceeded, 20% of the FOB value of the customs should be considered as your air freight. With regard to ship demurrages, what is ship demurrages? The expenditure which is pre-shipment nature. How can you say the pre-shipment expenditure? Ship demurrages means the ship while delivering the goods at docks of importer country, there is a delay happen. Therefore, ship demurrages charged by the shipper company, which is pre-shipment nature. Likewise, letterage or bar charges, which is also be the handling charges which is incurred by the importer for bringing the goods to the particular port or airport. In that case, that also letterage or bar charges, pre-shipment expenditure should add in the value of FOB value of customs. Then we will get a CIF value, cost, insurance and freight, which is our assessable value for import of goods. If that is the case, my dear friends, we have to arrive the value of CIF in the Indian rupees, because given value may be in foreign currency by multiplying the exchange rate of the CBIC at the time of submission of bill of entry by the importer. You have to convert into Indian rupees. Then CIF value Indian rupees is accessible value to pay import duty. This is what the transaction value read with the cost of service. Namely, rule number 3, read with rule number 10 of the customs valuation, we can arrive the value as per the transaction value basis. If there is conditions, as I told you in the beginning, while roughing the transaction value, the import export should not be related party, the prices must be sole consideration, and the third point is the importer should not be shared with the exporter the sale value after the importation with the exporter. These conditions should be satisfied, correct? If any one of the conditions not satisfied, transaction value not applicable. Then what value applicable? Refer the rule number 4, which is identical goods. Identical goods value should be considered. Identical goods value, how to identify? Identical goods of whom? Whose identical goods should be considered? If as a C of Chennai, I import the goods from A of USA, then exporter country, exporter identical goods should be identified. If the exporter country, exporter identical not available, then refer the identical goods of some other manufacturer of the same country of the exporter, namely USA. Now, what do you mean by identical goods? Hero Splendor compare with the Hero Passion. The two bikes more or less one and same. Only minute differences, identical goods. Sir, if the importer country import the goods from the country called Egypt, then the department wanted to arrive the value by taking the valuation of Dubai exporter. Is it acceptable? It cannot be accepted, because identical goods specifically says that exporter country, exporter identical goods should be referred. If not available, exporter country, some other manufacturer manufactured identical goods, that valuation should be considered. Got it, my dear friends? Further referring to you, suppose in case if there is identical product of the exporter country, exporter price is available, but different quantities at different selling prices. In that case, among those selling prices, lowest price is to be considered for our valuation for imported goods of identical goods. In case of department want to verify and identify identical goods of the exporter, different quantity, different selling prices, the lowest price of the selling price of the exporter country of identical goods should be considered for the imported goods for valuation purpose. Further, my dear friends, in the case where if the rule number 4, identical goods are not available of the exporter country of exporter, any other manufacturer of the exporter country also be not manufacture the identical goods. In that case, rule number 4 not applicable. Then we have to refer to rule number 5, namely similar goods, valuation of similar goods. What do you mean by similar goods? If you take into account the Bajaj scooter compare with the Hero fashion, purpose remains same but appearance is different, which is called as similar goods. In that case, valuation should be as per the similar goods of the manufacturer of the exporter country. Exporter, similar goods should be considered. If the similar goods of the exporter country exporter not available, some other manufacturer might be manufacturing similar goods of the same exporter country. In that case, that will be relevant. If the manufacturer manufactures the similar goods at different quantities, different selling prices, the lowest price should be considered. In the case where if the manufacturer not manufactured any similar goods for export, any other manufacturer also not manufacture similar goods of the same country of exporter, in that case rule number 5 not applicable. Then you have to go to rule number 7, which is nothing but deductive value. So rule number 3 not applicable, go to rule number 4. 4 not applicable, go to 5. Then what? Transaction value, if not identical goods, if not similar goods. Similar goods are not applicable, then you go to deductive value, rule number 5 to rule number 7. What about rule number 6? Rule number 6 only says directive rule. Rule number 3 not applicable, go to rule number 4. If not 4, 5. If not 5, go to 7, says rule number 6, which is directive rule. When you come to the rule number 7, deductive value, what is to be deducted from what is important to note. Here, my dear friends, selling price in India, take into account and deduct from that post shipment expenditure. The balance will be as value. Generally, the deductive value is applicable when the goods are bringing from high seas to India. You know, high seas means beyond 200 miles. If there I have oil rig, from there the goods are bringing to India is import of goods, where the selling price is the base. If there are different selling prices, then its quantity should be considered. Wherever selling price is repeated, its quantity you sum up. Then you will get the single selling prices with a one quantity. So in that case, wherever the quantity is highest, that selling price relevant. That selling price is the base, multiplied with the number of units of import of high seas. Then you will get total value of sales. From that deduct the post shipment expenditure if any, then the balance value will be the value of assessable value to pay the import duty. Then coming to rule number 8, if rule number 7 not applicable, rule number 8 talks about the computed value. Computed value means what? Where the importer exporter closely associated with each other. In that case, the importer submitting full information about the costings of the product by taking from the exporter, and the department satisfied the exporter cost, exporter profit to supply that goods, and the pre-shipment expenditure as per rule number 10, and department computing the value and arriving the value is called computed value. If the rule number 8 also not applicable, in that case, if the importer not given a full-fledged information about that import of goods, in that case rule number 9 will come into picture, which is residual value, also be called as residual method, where the department by taking into account, department will use their best of knowledge to arrive the value of imported goods. That is last resort, namely residual method, is the way in which we can easily identify the value of imported goods in case of goods are imported from a country outside India into India, where we have to pay the import duty on imported goods. We have to arrive the correct value. For arriving the correct value, we have to refer the all these particular methods available under the customs valuation, determination of value of imported goods to arrive the value of imported goods, which is highly useful for our coming exam of CMA Inter June 2024 as well as December 2024 examination.